Hey guys, this is Dimitri and welcome back to another Canucks review. Now we're taking a look at probably the case of the year for Enthusiasts, which completely blew me away from the very beginning. Designed by a Dutch company, Phanteks, who specialize in PC cooling solutions, this is their first chassis and I'm hoping they follow a similar path as Corsair, as the legendary 800D really paved the way for Corsair to acquire a major chunk of the market share when it came to enclosures. The good news with this product from Phanteks is that it aims to redefine of how we think about enthusiast cases. It's no longer about just giving us room, but giving us flexibility and functionality that is so long overdue. And you're looking at the Enthoo Primo with a hefty price tag of $250, but still surprisingly low compared to other similar enthusiast enclosures on the market. Also, this isn't just a regular full tower, but with specific emphasis on insane water cooling builds, thanks to its moderately large size but not as massive as the 900D, which means this is a perfect alternative for those wanting to go overkill. The Enthoo Primo is one elegant piece with tinted side panels, brushed aluminum at the front and the top. The front exhaust is covered by a removable double panel that features a built-in dust filter attached with clips and screws, so it's not the most convenient if you need to remove it. The dual panel is spaced to allow airflow to enter, plus there's extra ventilation on either side of the fans, but still we know there will be quite a lot of resistance because of all these barriers. Luckily, Phanteks is not new to cooling, and two high airflow fans will deliver an ample of airflow, plus they retail for over $20 a piece, which makes us happy they've been included. The front cover opens a little past 90 degrees, and we all know the disadvantages of this design. It could easily break and cannot be swapped to be opened from the other side. A total of 5 optical bays are included with built-in dust filters on the covers. The left side panel is occupied by one large window that will beautifully showcase your components, while the smaller one is tasked with displaying the Phanteks logo. The right side panel has dual fan ventilation and power supply intake, both of which are covered with magnetic dust filters. The power button along with the hard drive activity light are located at the top of the case but still within reach, and the rest of the connections are located at the very top with LED switch for the fans, a reset button, a total of 4 USB ports, 2 of which are USB 3, and chrome plated audio jacks. Now, given this is a very tall enclosure, the placement of the USB ports is not the most ideal, but if you are showing off your rig and it's not under the desk, which is most likely won't be, it really is not a big issue. The top panel has a large, easily removable mesh with a dust filter and really shows off the water cooling potential with the Enthoo Primo, as quad 120mm fans are supported, or triple 140s with one included. Positioning of the fans is flexible thanks to these strips instead of single holes for mounting, and there is plenty of room above the frame to push-pull for your radiator. Moving to the bottom of the case, Phanteks are truly delivering to what every builder wants, and that's full dust-proof enclosure with large dust filters covering the entire bottom, which are easily removable and accessible from the side. Now, there's plenty going on at the rear, starting with the top exhaust with height adjustment mount. They're the only ones who we've seen to implement this design aside from NZXT, and we like it, which allows a little extra top clearance for your radiator. Below are the 8 PCI slots plus additional venting and plenty of different mounting holes for a reservoir. After all, this is a case designed for water cooling enthusiasts and functionality. And at the very bottom we have a fan mount on the right that is also a secondary spot for a power supply, and on the left is the stock location for your power unit. Now, I'm very excited to get inside the Enthoo Primo, particularly because there's a lot to talk about. And taking off both panels, the internals look a little different from what you're used to. First, we do have toolless mounting for all the optical drives, and the hard drive cage below is accessed exclusively from the rear, which is preferable. The bottom portion includes a fan bracket to be used with 240 and 280mm radiators, and with one intake fan included. There's about 6 inches of clearance until the motherboard area, which is plenty of room for thick radiators. The fan bracket is removable, that allows a 480mm radiator to be installed at the bottom, which is quite impressive, but also allows clearance for a power supply to be installed. The 2 adhesive rubber strips are included to prevent noise from vibration, and the orientation of your power supply is dependent on preference, as ventilation is available on either side of the unit. Coming to the motherboard area, given Enthoo Primo's emphasis on water cooling, a reservoir bracket is included, which can also be used to cover up the rubber grommets. It is easily removable and has a brushed aluminum plastic panel and many pre-drilled holes for different types of reservoirs. The only disadvantage with this is the limited clearance for your GPU, as once installed, only 10.5-inch cards will fit, and only in the top 5 PCI slots, as the cutout on the bracket doesn't follow all the way down. Otherwise, without the bracket, 13+ inches is available. We do have a lot of rubber grommets around the motherboard tray and a large CPU cutout. And so far, it doesn't seem like Phanteks missed anything regarding compatibility. So let's turn the case around and see how it handles with cable management. The first thing you notice is how all the stock cables are sleeved and cleaned up, which makes working with the case a lot simpler. There's also a very clever cable management system in place with Velcro straps that you can loosen up to fit more cables or vice versa. There are plenty of cable tie mounts as well, and generally a lot of room. You'll just have to work around the stock cables, as they do cover a lot of the rubber grommets. We do have a central fan hub for 7 fans, which your motherboard might be able to power through a single 4-pin connector, but if not, a Molex connector is available. You're also able to reposition the hub a little further down, so Phanteks sure emphasizes on flexibility with this case. The hard drive cage is located in its usual spot with unique drive caddies that you don't need to flex or widen, but it sort of has this wing design where you place the drive and close the wings, and it's actually quite sturdy and hassle-free, and of course SSD compatible. Each cage can also mount 120mm fans to drive better airflow, and of course it is modular, very much expected from what we've seen so far. You can move the entire assembly closer to the front to allow better cooling for the drives, or remove the assembly completely for installation of front radiator, with ample of 6.5 inches of space. The front will support 240 or 280mm rads, but also Enthoo Primo comes with side radiator bracket, which can be used with 240mm radiators. It is a very simple installation, but with radiator in place, you lose out on the entire hard drive cage. However, if you are running just the fans, which have to be installed on the outside of the bracket, it fits in just fine with the drive cage installed. This means extra cooling for your drives, and the panel closes just fine without touching the fan. We also have designated Ssd brackets above the main cage that are easily removable. Each bracket houses 2 drives, and I think the use of space is appropriate, plus there are specific cutouts available to route your SATA cables. You can also replace one of the brackets to another location if you don't want to route your SATA power, for example, all the way up there, or have a side radiator installed. And rubber grommet is available right underneath for appropriate cable routing. Moving on to the power supply, it is elevated with rubber standoffs and is mounted sideways, and the chassis comes equipped with a pump bracket which is installed in front of the power supply, but can be moved slightly forward for a little extra room for all your cables, and can be installed instead of the bottom hard drive cage. There's also a tube cutout, so you can easily route your tubing from the pump into the main chamber. So you can see that water cooling is sort of the essential focus for the Enthoo Primo. And to recap, here are all the supported radiators, which is quite amazing. This is due to a functional design that allows so much flexibility for preference, and Phanteks did a really good job with making sure there are no compromises. And starting with the assembly, that extended middle motherboard standoff is really useful to get you going, and a small toolbox is included that contains all the needed screws that improves the overall user experience. There's over 80mm of clearance between the top frame and the memory on our board, which is good news for thick radiators. And finally, looking at the finished build, it is very clean and tidy thanks to the rear power supply chamber. And turning the case around, everything is well secured, and really there were no issues with cable routing. But Enthoo Primo really screams for more hardware and radiators, and this certainly is one of the top choices for water cooling. Now we are going to conclude with our pros and cons list, and Phanteks certainly didn't cut any corners with the Enthoo Primo, as the build quality and the looks are outstanding. A total of 5 quality high airflow fans are included, with plenty more airflow options. Rear power supply chamber does allow a cleaner looking build without compromises, with the optional second replacement for the unit. The chassis is full dust proof with easily accessible filters and features an excellent Velcro strap system for your cable management. Really, the core purpose of the chassis is water cooling, and Phanteks has done an excellent job with multi-radiator support and even include a pump and a reservoir bracket. And while $250 price tag may seem like a lot, the Enthoo Primo packs an incredible value for those wanting to take the full advantage of what the case has to offer. Really, my main critique here is that I wish there weren't that many stock cables, as they do block the rubber grommets and make it a little bit more difficult with routing. Also, I wish the design of the reservoir bracket wouldn't conflict with longer GPUs. But in reality, that is just me being picky, and the Enthoo Primo really exceeded my expectations and deserved a Hard Rock Canucks damn good and damn innovative award, because every inch of this case serves a function, and I can't wait for their next case. And really, to be honest, I think this is the best case we have reviewed to date, and I highly praise Phanteks for not leaving anything out. So what do you guys think of the Enthoo Primo? Do you think it's a bit overkill, and would you pay such a price given your water cooling? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next review.